welcome back to Couples Chronicles with Afia and
your boy Lloyd.
All right, guys, so we're going to dive right into it. You want to take it from here?
All right, let's go. I like to say Chronicle number one. Well, here we go with Chronicle number one. Is not taking your partner's name, last name that is that a make or break in a relationship? Is it a sign of being less committed, or is it just a thing?
I don't think so. I remember when I got married, I went through a severe identity crisis. And I felt like, oh my God, like this person that I've worked so hard to be, this person that I've worked so hard to become, and this person that I was proud of that I was becoming, I felt like I was losing her. Right. And so I think in changing my name somehow, I felt like I was losing that person, and it was very scary.
How long have you been married?
5 years.
Have you changed your name to my name yet? I'm just asking. Have you changed your last name? Answer the question first. Have you changed your last name to my name?
It's written on the marriage certificate.
Okay.
It is.
It's written on the marriage certificate.
It is.
What does your passport say?
It says Afia Bennett.
What does your license say?
Afia Bennett.
What does your Instagram say?
Afia Bennett.
I say all that to say, guys.
What does the marriage certificate say? That's all that matters.
I said that to say, for me, it doesn't really matter to me. Mm-hmm. I think it's situational though, because like she mentioned, the identity crisis.
Yeah.
You are a brand. You spent
my whole life
building the Afia Bennett brand.
Yeah.
And I understood that going in. The thing that mattered to me most was my son having my last name.
Yeah.
But I could see, that's just me. I'm a very, I want to say I am nonchalant, but I'm a very easygoing guy for the most part. But I could see how some men
would feel away.
Would definitely feel away if the woman don't take their name. Whether you still trying to seem single or not married, even though you technically are, I get it.
Yeah.
But I could see how some men could feel, is the word betrayed or belittled or whatever they want. I can see how they feel away. They could be in their feelings, their man feelings.
I think, taking a person's last name, don't get me wrong, there is honor in it. And, it's not to say it's not something that I would do. Right? Like, I'm not saying that. I just feel like, first and foremost, I got engaged at 22? Mm-hmm. I got married at
I locked
20?
That thing down.
Right? And I got married at 25, and now I'm 30, right? And so I think because marriage was something that I dived into so young, like losing, who I was in its entirety was very scary. And it's like, oh my God, like, what do I have left for me? I'm now, becoming a wife. I'm now a mom, right? And so it's like, am I losing this person that I've spent so long and worked so hard to become, right? And she's not finished. Like who I've worked so hard to become, like I'm not done with her. Like, God isn't finished. And it's not to say that he's still not doing work in me. It's just to say, okay, well, my name, what's the Crucible? Come on. We saw the movie.
I don't remember. I don't know that part. Usually I'm
all you have is your name from Molly's Game.
Okay. Is it? It's from Molly's Game?
Yeah, it's from Molly's Game,
okay.
But it's from the Crucible.
Yes, it is. You know what's crazy? And I just thought about this now. I love this. I love when this triggers new thoughts in my head. There should be a conversation when you first start dating, right? Because I don't even think I thought about that when I proposed to you. Or we were getting married, the actual, like, you taking my name, like, that never crossed my mind.
I think
like,
so. I think it was a conversation we had.
Yeah. And I shared.
And you said as long as our kids had your name, like, that's
Okay, so guys, you should have this conversation prior to getting married.
I think, though, for most men, they look at it from a place of legacy, right? And I can understand that. However, I think building a legacy goes far beyond name, just your name, right? It goes to your children. It goes to what you're building together. That could be property. That could be financially. It could be, whatever, right? And so building a legacy looks and feels a lot more than just me taking your name, in my opinion.
So we talk about compromise a lot. We went to therapy and we talked about compromise. Compromise is the golden word.
It is because I don't think marriage works without compromise. I don't. I think I would have been divorced a long time ago. Like I don't think marriage works, relationships works. None of it works without compromise.
Nothing works without compromise. Workspace, anything works. This podcast won't work without compromise, right? But there's other ways to take a person's last name, right?
Right.
You could hyphenate.
Yeah. Like I hyphenated it. I
You
mean,
hyphenated what?
on the marriage certificate it says
I gotta go
Afia
pull out. I
Bennett
gotta go pull out this marriage certificate because I don't see it anywhere. I still see mail that come. Oh, you know what? Only time I see it.
When we go to a wedding.
A wedding, they'll say the Dickinsons, or somebody send us a gift. They'll say the Dickinsons, and I'll be like,
Yeah,
it
they
was a
do.
reminder I'm married.
Yes.
Not like that.
Not
but you
a
know what I
reminder,
mean.
that's
Not
funny.
like that, but like you see it.
Yeah.
I see it visually, but I don't know if it's it shouldn't. I don't think it should be a deal breaker, game changer, whatever.
Absolutely not.
I think there's ways around it. Hyphenated again. People, I saw you work through this identity crisis that you talk about.
Oh, absolutely. You've seen it in every aspect of my life. And that identity crisis was not just in actually getting married, right? It was in friendships. It was in the workspace. It was with family, right? And so when I say an identity crisis, I actually mean crisis. I actually mean in every aspect of my life. When I chose to get married, it changed overnight. I'm talking my job, right? Like it seemed like my career was over. Like my agents treated me like, oh, okay, well now you're married, your career's over. And it's like I had to reprove myself, right? My friends was like, oh, she's married, like she can't hang out. Not say my single friends, but my single friends, right? Like so now it's like I'm losing friends, right? And so, and even my family, it's like, oh, who's this guy? And so you've seen me come to your, not to say rescue, but you know, I'm gonna have your back 10 toes down, no matter whether it's my family or my friends. So when I say identity crisis, it was a full flesh, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like full flesh identity crisis.
Well, you know, luckily you married a guy like myself, who didn't put so much pressure on that. But I don't think I've personally. Actually, all my friends that's married have taken their wives have taken.
It's
the very
funny.
name.
So when we were in Mexico, one of the couples, I'm not going to say their name because, you know, but I asked them, how can I say, basketball coach and his wife. I don't know if you remember. Okay. So I asked them and she said she didn't take his last name until after 5 years. And
Really?
The conversation came up and she said the same thing. And she said actually what made her change her last name was her children. She said when she would go pick up her kids from school,
because it's a different name.
Yeah, but having a different name.
We sometimes experience that, like when we go to the hospital.
Yes,
it'll
absolutely.
be like Dickinson, Kyra Dickinson, but your name is Bennett.
When we went to rent a car recently, and she looked at me sideways, and I was like, whoop, 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 whoop. I'm his wife. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Like she definitely, we tried to rent a car and for some reason the salesperson just looked at me like I was just some like skeezy or something. Like it was like, oh, hold up, let's bring it back. I'm his wife. Thank you very much. Like let's retract. So, you know, sometimes you do have to back people up in the place that you stand, right? And that's okay. But yeah, I just think it's nothing wrong with it. And it's not to say like you're not going to get there in terms of taking your husband's last name. I think you have to do it when you're ready. It's like I said.
Damn, I never thought. I keep going through. I didn't even know that story you told me. This is one of my friends as well, and he never shared this part with me, nor did I kind of like look for it, or we never talked about it. None of my friends.
Because I don't think
it was a big thing.
I don't think it's something that, like I said, I don't think it's something that it comes up. You know, I think that, you know, when
So why 5 years? Did you talk to her about like why did she say after 5 years?
It's
just the kids.
No, like I'm telling you, it's a real thing. Like
what if men feel that way? I don't think men feel that way
because you're not changing your name. Like you're not changing your name. That's why it's not an identity crisis. You're still the person that you are when you decided to get married. Same thing when you have children. It is the exact same thing. When a woman decides to have a child, it is mostly the woman's life that changes. You still get up and get to go to work every day. You never miss a dollar. If anything, when we had our son, you made more money. Okay.
Well, that was God.
You made more money.
That was God because, you know, at that point, okay, I'm a personal person, so I like to get personal. So before, when we used to date, you know, we used to go 50-50 on most stuff when we first started dating. Again, I wasn't...
Whoa, and what did I say? And if I got pregnant...
Well, I said that too, and I was okay with that. That's what I'm getting leading. So I'm going to say, when you get pregnant, then I kind of have to take over everything. So the day we confirmed the pregnancy... That was pretty much the last
Yeah,
time, pretty
no.
much for the last
I
time.
was like, first of all, bro, I'm a model, right? I've always been a model. As long as he's known me. Even to today, I'm still a model, and my body is my job. So obviously, stepping into motherhood, right? There is that like factor of, okay, this might be the end of your career, which is also very
Which
scary.
frightened me. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
I
this
pray
could
to
be the
God, please
end.
let her body come back
Yeah,
because
like
she's
it could
never
be a
gonna forgive
wrap.
me.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that was my only fear. I was like, please, God, just let her snap back because she'll never forgive me. But she knew the risk, right? So she still took that step. So I appreciate you. I love you for that. Anyway, damn, what was that? We were talking about.
Uh,
You're gonna
okay,
have
so
to
we were
cut me.
just talking about, I talked about how, when a woman decides to have a child, a woman's life is mostly the one that changes. You then went into talk about how it was God that when I had Cairo, you
Oh yeah,
started to work more.
you're pregnant. I mean, and God knew that I needed more
Yeah.
finances. So the fact that you're saying that, oh, I made more money, I don't think. I mean, that wasn't me. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was energy. Maybe it was God answering my prayers. I would
Yeah.
like to think it's God answering my prayers, but that came naturally and that was fine. And it worked out for the best.
Yeah. I guess, as we move on to the next topic, I think it's okay, to take your partner's last name when you feel comfortable, right? Like I think you do it in your own time and your own journey, excuse me. And I think you should be with somebody that's understanding of that. Because whether you get married at 18, there's some women that do get married at 18, whether you get married at 25 or whether you get married at 30, your life changes in every aspect, in every capacity. And only you feel that. Nobody else feels that, right? When you step into the workspace, when you step into your friendships, when you step outside of your house, right? Like how the world perceives you now as married looks and feels a lot differently. And just adjusting to that space takes time, right? So whether you do decide to change your last name or not, like it's okay. Like it doesn't mean that you love your partner any less.
For sure. So people, add that to your list of questions when you're dating. That should be one of the questions. She said we talked about it. I don't remember. But that should be one of your questions that you ask when you first start dating. I think that's what I gathered from this conversation right now. Because it's an important thing, apparently. All right, let's go into the workspace. We talked about workspace and all that type of stuff. How important is boundaries in the workspace, right? We hear a lot of times people talk about their work wife, their work husband. How how does it affect you in a relationship? Are you understanding of that? Because some people are understanding of it. Some people are. You go. I'll let you go first.
First of
You're
all,
rolling your eyes already.
First of all, I'm your only wife.
Say less.
Let's start in the and then there. Okay.
Say less.
I am your only wife. There should not be a work wife. First of all, you know me. Okay. Like I even think that if there was even a work wife, I'm like, what wife? First of all, the term in my
Shouldn't
opinion,
exist?
no, it should not. I do think it's like it's inappropriate. In my honest opinion, I feel like if you're married, even if you're dating, it would make me feel uncomfortable. Even if we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and like we were not married yet, the moment you said you had a work wife, I would be like, oh no, is he not to say is he in her? Come on, like that's how I would take it. Like, what do you mean that's your work wife? Like, how does that like where do we go from there? Like, it severely would make me uncomfortable.
I've heard and seen this, phrase I would say loosely, just because I don't think people are serious when they say this, be used. And I think it's inappropriate too. Don't get me wrong. I do. I don't want to hear any work husband situation. I think when people work closely together, first of all, if you don't work for yourself, let's go back. If you don't work for yourself, you probably spend more time at work,
than you do home.
school, wherever you want to say, than you do home, depending on how load heavy your position is at that job. You're a lawyer, you spending crazy time at work. You're a doctor, you spending
at work
crazy time at work.
And now imagine you're coming home telling me that you have a work. I dare you.
I've had couple friends, and it's typically we shot a TV show. What's that TV show? I think it was the one with Issa Rae, Insecure. I think one of them loosely used the word, this is my work husband, or this is my work wife, and the other party was okay with it. Again, I think it's a term that's more loosely thrown around as my partner or my person that I get in with or I get along with at work. Maybe we should come up with maybe we should stay friend and not come up with work husband. But boundaries, you should have boundaries in everything. So I don't see any different in why that shouldn't be a boundary. Again, if obviously it's a term and it's a thing, so people use it, and obviously if your partner is okay with it, like she mentioned,
No.
she's not okay with it, and
I
like
feel
I mentioned, I know
think
she's not
even
okay
if
with
your
it.
partner is not addressing it, they're not okay with it. I think it's one of those things where it's like they're in the back of their mind, like, what do you mean that's your work wife? Or what do you mean that's your work husband? Like, I don't know. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think that regardless if your partner is saying something or not, they probably feel uncomfortable as well.
I can't fight it. I kind of feel similar to you on this one. I can't.
I remember, right, when we were in marriage counseling and they said, now my husband can be a little stubborn sometimes. So,
I'm not stubborn.
yes,
I'm strong willed. I
same
believe
thing.
no, that's not the same thing.
So they were showing us a demonstration of, images in what was inappropriate in the workspace. And so, for people that don't know, my husband, he does a multitude of things, but one of them, he has a fitness company, he trains, blah, 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 blah. So, a lot of time there's like a lot of interaction with women, and,
And men.
and men, more women than men, but, I remember in the demonstration, they showed images like, okay, showing the differences of if you're hugging somebody like this versus if you're hugging somebody by the waist. Now, we all know if you go up to somebody and hug them by the waist, it's like, okay, what are you trying to say, right? And just like body language and like the messages that hugging somebody a different way, or having your arm around them a certain way, or how close your head is to that person, like the different messages that it all sends, right? And so I definitely think that in the workspace, having those boundaries, like they talked about, okay, peace signs, like high fives, they talked about dabs,
I'm very clear on making the I don't even hug your mom. If I'm hugging your aunt, your mom, I'm good at the hip hug. The side,
yeah.
hip, hands around the hip hug.
But I think the fact that you acknowledge that.
Oh, I do that,
right, but listen, I think the fact that you can even acknowledge that, if you give me a side hug, now you know why I feel away. I feel like the fact that you can
side hug you.
Sometimes you side hug me. Sometimes you side hug me.
Unless I'm sweaty coming from the gym.
What kind of hug is this though? Like, who am I, your roommate? Like, sometimes you side hug me. And I feel like the fact that you can even acknowledge that you side hug people, like to be like, I want to hug. I want to kiss. I'd be like, let me get a 3-second kiss. Let me get a 3. I want a real hug. Like, I don't want that side hug.
I'm a very clean person. So if I just came from the gym and I'm sweaty, I don't want to put my sweat on her.
I want all that.
You see?
I want all that. Let me get that.
Okay.
I tell him after, how about this? I tell him when he comes home from the gym that he smells good. I'm like, oh, you smell. I feel like sometimes the workout.
Or what do I say? Let me go take a shower.
Yes, but I feel like sometimes, weird enough, the workout be activating the cologne or the deodorant. I'm like, you smell good. What is that?
So the side hug is my.
First of all, don't side hug me. The fact
in
that
the
you
morning,
can even
if I just wake up and it's a kiss,
you are side hugging.
I ain't brush my teeth.
Do not.
If I brush my teeth.
If there is
I'm gonna go like
thing in this episode today that we get a break, do not side hug me. Stop side hugging me. I do not like side hugs. Leave those side hugs for my auntie and your auntie. Do not side hug me.
Even kisses. I think that happened this morning.
I don't want no side kiss
I'll be
either.
like, I ain't brushed my teeth yet.
I don't want no side kiss either. And I'll be like, what's your problem? I'll be like,
and
I
I
can't
tell
get a
you,
hug.
I ain't brushed my teeth.
I'll be like,
I give
let me
you
get
a
all
reason.
that.
Oh my
Let me
God.
get all that.
All
nah,
right.
I want all of it.
This is getting personal. This is getting personal, guys. I swear, it feels like it's like therapy that we go through, which is good. It's a good thing. We let a lot of stuff out. So to conclude, work-wise, work husband is a no. Boundaries in the workplace is very important.
It's a no for me.
I think it's a kind of without saying. I think it goes without saying. But if you are crossing these boundaries, let this be a message to you to create those boundaries and keep your marriage or your relationship going.
Yeah.
Don't let that come in between of it.
Absolutely not.
Relationships. In a relationship, should everything be private, or are there situations in which it's okay to share with family or friends? I'll let you start.
Ooh, I'm starting.
I think this is a good one.
I think it's hard, right? Because my mom is like my best friend, or like my cousin Nini is like my sister at this point. Like, and I feel like there's been times where if we're going through something and I call my mom, or even if I don't feel okay asking my mom, if or ask my cousin, she'll give me a different perspective, and I'll be like, "You right, Nene. She's a lot calmer than me." So I'm like, "You right. Let me try that." And like her advice, has gone a long way. And I think sometimes, in relationships, in marriages, you need somebody, she's also married. So it's not like I'm asking somebody that's not married. My mom yesterday made 36 years married, right? And so my cousin is also married. And so it's not like I'm seeking advice from people that are not married, right? And these are the two closest people to me. Do I think you should be asking Tom, Dick, and Harry? Absolutely not. But I think that if there's one or two people that you confide in that you trust, absolutely. One of my best friends actually just told you recently. She actually just told you in the car the other day. Afia keeps everything private. Like she said that to you. And you probably don't know that because I'm always talking to my mom, right? And so it doesn't seem that way. But she literally told him without any plan. This first time she told me, she was like, Afia, when she's going through something in her relationship, she goes to God, right? Now, I go to God and my mama and sometimes my cousin Yanni, but most times God and then my mom. And it's just because, as a newly married, meaning like we're still early on in our marriage or early enough that you're like, well, my mom has been in these shoes. She's very strong. Like a lot of situations that she's been in, just even reflecting and asking myself, could I have gone through them, right? And still be married, and what that answer would look like, right? So to answer your question, sorry, not to like sidetrack.
No.
I think if you have one or two people like that you're closest to that have your best interest at heart, absolutely. But you shouldn't allow everybody to just have a say so, in your marriage. Or have an opinion for that matter.
Yes. So I like to think of myself as a understanding guy, and I always look at two sides, right? So I agree with you. I think there are people and situations. There are people that in certain situations you should confide in, and there are. I also do think there are situations that need to be kept private. Me personally, I try not to, especially family. I try not to. I could count on one finger. I could count on half a finger, really. The amount of times that I've gone to my mother with a problem that we're having. Not that I don't think my marriage, like similar to my wife's parents, they've been actually married longer. I can't tell you the years, but longer, and they just made an anniversary. Bad on me, sorry, ma. But so not that I don't think that they will give me great advice, but their advice, that's still their advice, and I have to work it out. But I don't share because I don't want them looking at you a certain way. When I know that we have what it takes to get over that situation, I don't want to keep compiling on them a list of things to judge you by.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something drastic and something where it's at the brink of something that I need some type of groundedness, like, you know what I'm saying? It would take much more than that. So I try not to go to them for even if it's a significant thing, but I try not to compile that on them because I don't want them to have a judgment on you.
Yeah.
Same thing with like friends. How much times have you talked to a friend and they're like, this guy, this or this girl, this, and then the next week they're right back
all the time
with that person. And now you're viewing them as either they're dumb or, not to be like that, you're viewing them like either they're dumb, whipped, or whatever you want to call it, or now you have a list of a bucket of things that's going against this guy.
Yeah.
So now even in the other side of it, if I'm receiving it from someone, I try not to make judgments on that person because like sometimes I'm like, they're gonna be back together next week.
Yeah.
They're just venting. But so it's a difficult thing. Is it okay to vent sometimes? I would more so vent to a friend that I respect or a friend that I know is equally balanced.
Yeah.
Rather than going to my family because my family opinion of you
Yeah.
means a lot more to you. If I, especially when I know we could fix this, they don't need to know this.
Yeah.
But it's nothing wrong. Like, I know my wife goes to her mom for certain situations. That's okay. Friends, it doesn't bother me. Whatever you need to
But
do
like,
to work it through.
I don't think that like.
I think so. You talk to your mom for everything. What were you going to say? Go.
I was gonna say friends. I don't go to my friends for everything.
Your mom. I know for sure you're going to your mom about certain things. Whether I like it or not, I understand why.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in any situation, and I'm me as well versus you, I believe your mom wants the best for you.
Yeah.
I believe you believe your mom wants the best for me. I mean, best for you.
Yeah.
So I can't ask you to not ask for advice from your parents. I think that's selfish of me. And who knows? She might be giving you some advice that might work on my behalf.
Oh, I definitely think like Niani, my cousin, she gives great advice with you. Like, cause she's very like, I mean, she's a little spicy now. She's pregnant, so she's a lot more spicy now. I'm like, dang, am I rubbing off on you, girl? But yeah, sometimes like leaning on your just your closest friends and family, I should say, is okay.
Let's take another part of that aspect. What if your partner doesn't like that you're sharing this information with your family or friends? How do you then?
Yeah.
Because I think people have more of that issue than anything.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you going to your parents? Why are you telling people our business?
Yeah.
Da, 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 and that causes more friction.
Yeah.
How would you deal with that? Like, do you respect the partner's wishes and don't talk? Or are you going behind the partners and still talking? What does that look like?
You know how you fix it?
Huh?
You know how you fix it?
How you fix that?
Stop doing shit to be talked about. There you go. Stop. Just stop. There we go. If you stop doing dumb shit, then I ain't got shit to talk about. How about that? Okay? how about that?
I don't know, man.
If you stop doing things for me to talk about, then I ain't got nothing to tell them. No. Ew.
If my partner, if you did, again, I rarely.
Okay, if you want my honest opinion though, like, I mean, that's my thoughts too. But I think that, if let's say you talk to your mom about something, and I knew you went to talk to your mom, I'm the type of person that's going to pick up the phone and call your mom too, right? And so I think I am whole in myself and woman enough in myself in my marriage as an individual and as a mom that I'm going to pick up the phone and say, oh, okay, he communicated with you about this. Okay, well, this is how I feel about it. Now let's all have the conversation, right? And I think that's only fair because I'm like, okay, when he spoke to you about it, I understand his perspective. I want you to understand mine, and let's come to some common ground because with all three of us in mind, right? And so because I think that especially like with your mom, like your mom is very like she is very clear about how she feels. Like she's very vocal, and so am I. So I don't think that you could confide in your mom about something and she's not going to bring it up, or she's not going to comment about it, or she's not going to say anything that's not like direct. She's direct, I'm direct, which is fine. But I feel like, so if you did confide in her about something, like, yeah, I'm going to pick up the phone and say, hey, like, let's talk about it. Like, we're both women, we're both adults. Let's have a conversation, and vice versa. Like, I mean, you're not gonna pick up the phone and call my mom. That's not your personality. But I do think that you're likely to have a conversation with my mom. Like, if
she brings it to me.
like if you got there in person, yes, I feel like you guys would talk. I don't think y'all don't have a problem communicating without me, right? I've seen that. So if the shoe was on the other foot, I don't think your mother could have a conversation with me or could look at me without like a comment coming up about something you said to her. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to pick up the phone and talk to you too. That goes both ways.
I could definitely see that. My mom is very much like that, which is the reason why also too I choose not to do that, because I just don't want, again, especially, I repeat, especially if I know this is something that we could work on our own, I don't think it's needed to involve other people. I'd rather just keep it private. So I think it's twofold. I personally think you're not wrong if you do choose to confide in someone, just as long as it's not everybody.
Yeah, no.
Any insignificant
literally,
person.
my best friend just told him, your wife is very private. She literally said the only person she goes to is God, because she knows I talk to her. So she's probably like, damn, she don't ever talk about what she goes through in her marriage, and she's been married for some time now, right? So that probably why she made that comment, and I didn't even know she was going to make that comment to you.
Yeah. I mean, they had a side conversation, but that's okay.
No, not a fact. I was shocked when she said this too. I was like, I think it actually goes back to the conversation. I think we talked about this maybe last week on the podcast when we talked about should you talk about the person that you're dating with bring them
friends.
to your friends first, right? Or should you just date them for a while before, right? And so that kind of sprung on the conversation about, oh, well, you don't really talk about any issues that you and Lloyd are going through to me. So she felt like, I should keep the person that I'm dating private to myself before bringing them to my friends. So that's kind of how it came up. There was no side conversation.
I was just joking. And again, to follow up on my last statement, adversely, I don't think if you choose to keep it, ice. If you choose to keep it private, I think that's fine as well. I do think that you both, I don't even think you need to share with your partner that you're confiding in people, honestly. And it's funny because we was going to talk about a topic which we might bring up about, are there things that you should keep from your partner? Like, I think this is one of those things that you keep from your partner that's okay to keep from your partner.
Wait, what? I'm confused.
Like, let's say I had a problem with you confiding in your mom.
Oh.
You're going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
So I think
you have to look at it from this perspective too, right? Like, sometimes, like, your closest, let's say my mom and my sister, right? They could give me advice that would keep me in the marriage, and you wouldn't even know that, right? And so when you talk about things that you keep from your partner that you're dating or you're married to, that could be one of the things. They might be giving you advice to keep you there. You understand? And so that might not be something that you need to hear, right? But they might be like, hey girl, this is what you need to do. This is how they might give you to. My mother did not get to 36 years of marriage just by having
some stuff.
Yeah, sure. Without going through some stuff. So if she's giving
overcoming some stuff,
exactly, and overcoming some stuff. So if she's giving me a piece of advice, it's kind of like, okay, like she's been in my shoes before, right? And that's important to me because obviously I want our marriage to work, and I'm doing everything in my power for our marriage to work. But it's without saying that you need support or that I need support. Right? Like, even if you don't need support, I definitely need support. Mm-hmm. And so that could be like, hey, like a piece of advice that keeps me here, that keeps me present, that allows me to show up as a great mom and as a great wife, but also allows me to chase my dreams. And also, like, you understand, to be spiritually grounded, right? Like they say, the woman is the spiritual house, lays the spiritual foundation for the relationship, right? So I'm the person that gets up and prays. I'm the person that puts on church on Sunday morning, right? And so what role do I play in all of these, in all of these things, right? Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, although you might look at it from a perspective of, well, maybe you're not okay with me confiding in my mom or my sister, right? For me confiding in them might be the reason that I'm here and able to stay here, right? So I think you have to look at it from that perspective as well.
I think both perspectives or both situations are perfectly fine. What works for you?
Yeah.
But I can see, I want you guys to chime in on this one too in the comments. I want to hear experiences.
Yeah.
Because I think we hear about this a lot. You see this a lot. You see this reenacted on TV episodes. You see this.
On Love and Hip Hop.
People want to, and I think it's a sense of control and
want
to control the other person.
I was just about to say that. I was going to say, if your partner does not want you to talk to your mom, and assuming your mom has your best interest at heart, if your partner doesn't want you to confide in your mom or your best friend, let's say sibling, whatever, closest person to you that you trust, that's control. That, in my opinion, that's a level of control, because they don't want anybody else in your ear that's going to influence your actions. And for me, that's deep. I need to look at you. I need to look at the reason why don't you want me talking to them? Like, what is it? What don't you want them telling me? What don't you want them influencing me about? Right? And so if you believe that, this is somebody, if we're talking about my mom and my sister, yes, they have my best interest at heart. And you should trust that too, right? You should trust that they want the marriage to work. But if you're like, oh no, I don't want you to talk to them, why? What don't you want them? You don't want them to tell me, okay, girl, he done screwed you over 20 times. You need to bounce, because they could say that too, right? And it would be coming from a place of love, right? And that's a hard conversation to have as well.
You know what's funny? Like, and you saying that, like, I think I've only my brother had to come and ask me, like, why don't I come to him more? Because my brother is older. I have an older brother. He's been married a couple of times. That's what I'm saying. I don't really confide in people like that. Like, first of all, I think I make great decisions. Yeah. Personally, not always the right decisions, but I'm confident in the decision I make or how I work things out. But I think there was only one situation where my brother and my parents, not really my dad. My dad is like me. He keeps to himself.
Your dad is a lot like your personality.
But like my mom and my brother, we talked about the situation. And that was it. I really don't, not that I don't think it's necessary, nor do I think it's important. Just for me, I don't think that's my go-to
Yeah.
for advice. Like you, I pray, ask God. I thank God. I think I'm in a point of my life where I always tell you this, I hear God and see God clearly on things that's with my life.
Yeah.
And I'm confident with that. But either way, I think it's perfectly fine to go both ways. There's gonna be like the next chronicle is gonna be like a stepping stone into this next question. In a relationship, do you think most people break up because of the actual problem or because of those outside influences, friends, family, nowadays, Instagram? You gotta add that
Yeah,
as a
Instagram.
problem as well. I'll let you go. Because I feel, well, I can start if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Because you clearly you feeling hot. You feeling hot about this one.
I think it's good. I think that a lot of couples, marriages, will still be standing today if they kept people out of their business.
I think Erica Mena said this on Love and Hip Hop. She said that if she didn't allow the producers in her marriage, that she would still be married.
So, first of all, a lot of times people in their relationship knows the problems. They know what's going on in their problem. They've either come to terms with it, or they're waiting, or they're working through it, or giving their spouse partner time to work through that problem themselves, or whatever it is. I think the problem becomes now where other people now find out the situation, the embarrassment that they feel. They have to look at people in the eye and worry about if the person think they're stupid for staying in a relationship or whatever you want to call it. And then now that puts pressure or angers them. I think the embarrassment of the situation causes more. For instance, we all have the P. Diddler, as people call the situation that's going on. I'm hearing, what's the word? Not assumptions. Allegedly that people are getting divorced or looking at seeking divorce, lawyers and stuff like that. Couple names I heard, and this is not coming from me. This is what I've heard. Allegedly, Beyonce is found a.
He loved bringing up.
No, I'm other people. This is what I've heard. Divorce lawyer. Now, just today, I heard about Kevin Hart and his wife because of the videos that were leaked and whatever is on those videos. Jennifer Lopez again. They done been married and I think like 3 times now. Now he's seeking. They're looking at divorce again because of what's being seen on, or what's potentially to be seen on these freak nigga, whatever you call it, freak out videos or whatever. So they're like trying to do damage control.
Yeah.
And again, I'm pretty sure that they knew these things already, but now it's going to be open to the masses.
Yeah.
The embarrassment and I want to say backlash, but the people that's now going to be invited to comment, and now all the lenses that's on them and on their relationship puts some amounts of pressure and on that relationship. So now they want to split because they've been there.
Yeah.
You heard the accusations, you heard the rumors, but you were fine with it. You probably talked about it privately.
Yeah.
And you were okay with it. But
Yeah.
now that perfect marriage that you were portraying is not so perfect anymore.
Yeah.
And now we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
I mean, I understand both perspectives, right? I think regardless of the fact that it's in the public eye, it's still something that you're contending with, and
it's still a problem.
It's still a problem, and it's still something that you're contending with in the relationship. And believe it or not, the fact that it went to the public, it might in some instances have given you the support that you needed, or the strength that you needed, or the validation that you,
or the push. The push us to get the hell up out of there.
Yes, exactly, right. And so you might have needed that reassurance from the public eye that you are an amazing woman, that you are whole, that you are beautiful, that there is somebody out there for you that will see and know your worth, right? And so sometimes situations going to the public eye, of course, is not ideal, right? Like going through a breakup intimately is very difficult, let alone publicly, right? It's gruesome. However, I do think when it goes to the public and now you have this immense amount of support, just like Nia Long, right? Nia Long and her boyfriend, fiance, excuse
Idoka?
me. Right. They went through a breakup publicly. However, I remember her coming to the shade room and just thanking people, and Instagram, just thanking people for the immense amount of support
Yeah,
that
I even
she.
included Instagram in this whole thing
Right,
now.
100%, but acknowledging the immense amount of support that she received and going through such a difficult time, right? Because at the end of the day, that is her children's father, right? And so it is difficult, but knowing that A, other women have gone through what you're going through, and B, that, hey, there's a village behind you that's acknowledging your pain, that's acknowledging your self-worth, that's acknowledging your self-esteem, that's acknowledging, hey, like, you're dope. You're dope as fuck. Like, own that, right? Like, there's somebody out there for you that's going to acknowledge and see your beauty, and give you that marriage and that relationship, that you deserve. And like I said, of course, I'm sure that it being in the media, adds to the fire, but it doesn't change the fire. It doesn't. It don't change the problem. It don't change what you're going through. It's just allowing the world to see and have an opinion. And if that's what you needed to get the fuck out of there, that's what you needed.
Valid points, valid points. She feel the way. That was smooth, by the way. But and to answer the question though, do you feel like more people will still be together if their problem or situation or issue
I would
didn't
say
get out to the
yes,
public?
yes, right? I think when you look at like our grandparents, or you look at, I'm not going to say our parents, but when you look at like, how were our grandparents and great grandparents married for so long, right? Like, it doesn't mean that they didn't experience infidelity. It didn't mean that grandpa didn't step out. It didn't mean that
grandma.
papa or grandma, right? Like, come on, like, let's be honest. It doesn't mean that, all of these things didn't play a factor in the relationship, because it absolutely did. It just means that, hey, like, they were dealing with it in the home. It doesn't mean that the world was dealing with it publicly. And I think that's really what has changed in modern day.
I agree. I definitely agree with that point. I think we're gonna stop it there because I feel like we're gonna overdo it, and we want to give you guys some room to comment and share your experiences. So we also want to invite you to DM us on
Couples Chronicles
We
podcast.
want to hear your not only your comments, but questions that you might want us to talk about, to hear
Yes.
our opinions.
Stories. Like, if you went through something and you want an opinion on it, feel free to tell us what happened.
We would love to, try to work this stuff out and talk it out. Because, again, we learn from each other every time these podcasts. I'm loving it. Like I said, I always say it's like a therapy session in live time because we work through a lot of stuff. Sometimes we have messages behind. We're talking to each other without you guys knowing that we're working through it, even talking to ourselves. But I'm excited. That was a good one. We want to thank you guys for joining us
on Couples Chronicles
with your boy Lloyd
and Afia. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Peace. See you next time.